Um, I'm Chris Pitsiokos. I'm a saxophonist and improviser and composer in a, I would say, in a very broad definition of the word composition. Only a smaller percentage of what I only a percentage of what I do is actually notes on a piece of paper. Um, I'm from New York originally, and I lived there until about 3 years ago, or a little bit less than 3 years ago when I relocated to Berlin. Yeah, my music, I guess you could say, exists broadly under the umbrella of experimentalism, although um, I'm starting to uh, not like that term so much. Not so much because of the term itself, but because I feel like it's been appropriated by um, a lot of other people. So it's become a bit confusing what experimentalism really means. Uh, but yeah, I would say my music exists broadly under that umbrella, but it takes a lot of different shapes and forms. Some of it is a bit more, you could say, jazz adjacent. Some of it is improvised music. Some of it is more sound art. Some of it is more noise. It's hard to, limit it. So yeah, that's where I'd start. With this solo piece, called Irrational Rhythms and Shifting Poles, uh, the original idea I had was to just have my sound routed to four speakers and control which speaker the sound comes from, and also just control the polarity of the signal, which is related to phase shifting, which it's like a very nerdy technical thing. But basically, if you take a sound and you multiply it by -1, you flip it. So rather than pushing, every time it pushes, it's pulling, like the speaker. So like it happens if you just put the wires wrong on your speakers, this happens. Now, if you just have one sound source and you flip the signal, you don't really notice it. It's kind of it's imperceivable. But if you have two sound sources and you are pushing one and the other one is flipped and it's pulling, so they're kind of going against each other, it creates a very strange sensation. Like I think it's related to a comb filter. So it kind of filters the sound. So this was the original idea, to just have two sort of parameters. And then I made like a sequencer that routes the signal around and sort of determines in pseudo a pseudo random way, but repeating random but repetitive way, um, uh, routes where the signal goes. And yeah, as I said, I had sort of an idea of what it might sound like, but then I even kind of had my own crises in the process of making this music, because I thought there were points where I was working with the material and I thought, oh my God, this sucks. I can't like I can't make music out of this. But somehow it was just the fact that I had a gig planned where I was going to premiere this piece already. I felt, okay, I really have to push through and make this happen. Well, unfortunately, I won't have the lights in Korea, but
Right.
which I'm disappointed about. But it was too much gear to bring over, and also the I don't even know what I would need to check on the volts and potentially rebuild the thing. But honestly, the lights are pretty simple. I mean, uh, the process of the lights is it's just each there are five light channels, and each one is tied to a signal. So one is tied to just my acoustic saxophone signal, and then each light is attached to one speaker, so to speak. and the relationship is direct, basically. Like it's controlled by the amplitude of the sound to um each channel. Yeah, I mean, I hesitated at first to have a visual element to what I do because I think that um, it can force people to not listen as closely to the sound, which can be problematic potentially. But on the other hand, I think it creates a performative element, and lately I have felt that giving some giving something more for the audience to um, enter the performance is a good thing. I have felt uh, provides like another access point, I would say. And also, I really like the way that I mean, it's another thing that I sort of discovered as I worked with the lights, like that I didn't expect, and what I like most about what it does is like the shadows it creates on the room. Because then the shadows are somehow related to what's happening with the sound, but in a non in well, I guess it is linear, but in kind of an unpredictable way sometimes. I would say, like, ironically, when I perform by myself, it feels actually more like improvisation than when I improvise with others because I mean, you don't have this interactive element of having to respond to your environment as much, or at least I still respond to the environment acoustically and I think how the audience feels and stuff. I'm sensitive to it, but you don't have this feedback of another performer. But my approach to it is to really try to begin each solo improvisation like as if I'm throwing myself off a cliff, so to speak, like to really enter not knowing what I'm going to play, even to the absolute last moment when I'm already playing. And my reason for doing that is not purely an ideological one. It's not that I'm committed to trying to recreate something new every time, but for some reason through trial and error, I have found that I am most happy with the performances when I approach it in that way because I think that there's something about the process of discovery in this context that I like. In particular, um, I like the nakedness of it. I mean, it really contrasts with my electronic work. The stuff with the electronics is really basically a piece. I mean, there's some improvised elements, but it's basically a piece that I wrote for this system. Whereas the acoustic saxophone stuff, it's like a very personal kind of naked, vulnerable performance. And this tends to work better. And I think that there's something, I mean, I like to believe that there's something that the audience can also perceive in this process of discovery that I'm experiencing also in the same time. I mean, I still repeat myself for sure. I'm not claiming that every single improvisation is like totally different, but there always I really do genuinely discover new things on my instrument most times I play a solo, which I really enjoy about that.